hear me okay? I am normally microphone challenged. What a wonderful evening this is. I know the New Jersey State Golf Association can't pat itself on the back, but I certainly can. I want to tell you how proud our state golfers are of all the work the association's doing for our clubs, for our members, for their charities, and tonight is just a great example of that. I just want to give a bravo. Where is Bob sitting? Ah, my friend. The words, Robert Housen, gentleman golfer, to me just says it all. My first experience with Bob was the 1986 Mid-Am at Colonia. We were paired together in the qualifying round. We both played well, and I think we both knew that we were destined to meet in match play, which we did. It was certainly a pleasure to watch Bob all these years, and Bob won a lot. I watched him win with his putter, I watched him win with his irons, but mostly I watched Bob win with his mind and with his heart. But Bob didn't always win. There was some people out there that were pretty tough. Jeff Thomas, most of you know that name, was a tough cookie. And then we would have that occasional college hotshot that would come along and beat us all. But when Bob didn't win, that's when you really saw what Bob was made of. His class, his character really shone through at that time. He was certainly my mentor. I know I would not be the person or the player I am today without Bob's guidance, and I thank you so much. When I did win the New Jersey Am finally, I was doing my best Bob Housen imitation. I'd watched him do it so many times, and I was up at Springbrook, and I said, well, I'm just going to be Bob Housen today. And it worked out pretty good. I thank you for that, Bob. I know his influence around the state is incredible. As I look out in the audience and I see so many of us that compete against Bob, he had the same influence on all of us players. I'd see George here, Jay and Ned and Tommy and just some of the great players that we've had over the years. And your influence on all of us has been incredible. When you look at the number of Manasquan River people here, you know that you all think he's pretty special too. I know his influence on the members, the staff, even the caddies has been an incredible thing. He can always show class. Then his work with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's run an event for young people where he's given scholarships to young people to camp. Something I know is very close to his heart. And then his work with his church and obviously in the business world. I know we're all truly blessed to have Bob in our lives. And I know you had up there some of Bob's accomplishments, but I have to expand on those a little bit because they are truly incredible. And all of you out there that play competitive golf, be prepared to be humbled, and when I look at them, I feel inept. On the USGA side, Bob was qualified for the Senior Open 6 times, was low amateur twice. In the USGA Mid-Am, he was a semifinalist once. In the Senior Am, he was semifinalist twice. And in the amateur, he made it to the round of 16. On the local scene, that's where he really gets crazy. He won 6 New Jersey amateurs, 5 New Jersey pre-seniors, 2 New Jersey senior ams, 4 New Jersey super seniors, 2 MGA senior ams, the Ike Championship, the Travis 3 times, the Hoxter Memorial, the Richardson, and the list goes on and on. And then there's the ones that they talked about that I know are probably dearest to Bob's heart, and that's his wins in the father and son. 4 with his father Ducky and 1 with son Christopher, and then 2 MGA senior amateur father and son championships with son Christopher. There are a bunch of 4-ball victories that he's had. but I know Bob will deflect to Vic Gerard as carrying him around in all things. Right, Bob? And they mentioned his record-setting Conference Solder Cup appearances, and he also did a great job representing the MGA in our international matches. So it took me a while to figure out the reasons for Bob's success, and I did figure it out because I wanted to be like Bob. And he always talked about his kids, and now he talks about his grandkids. And you know how proud he is of all you guys. It's amazing. The second word out of his mouth when we start talking is my kids, my grandkids, which is awesome. He talked a lot about his mom, and he talked a lot about his dad, Ducky. But I know the one person that's the real reason for Bob's success is that pretty gal sitting right back there. Marjorie, will you please stand? This is your award too, Marjorie, believe me. It is my great honor to introduce a Hall of Fame man, Robert Housen.
Son said, don't talk too long. And Alan, you forgot to tell him you beat me in all those competitions. That slipped your mind. And then 6 months after having both knees replaced, he wins the state amateur. I mean, how many people can do that? I was home. Dan, when did you call me? In March?
Yeah, February, March.
February, March. So I'm home watching the, sports and falling sound asleep. And Dan gives me a call and he says they're going to develop a Hall of Fame. And I kind of thought maybe you wanted me on the committee to make some recommendations. And he said, no, we have 16 people going into the Hall of Fame, and you're one of the 16. And he started to read the names, and I was, bowled over with that. And he says, I have something else to tell you. And I expected him to say, well, it's going to cost you $10,000. But he didn't, and he said, you're the only one alive. And I said, you better hold it soon. I sort of feel like the designated survivor. Now, this is quite an honor, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody. I'm actually blown away. It's a humbling experience, and it's certainly appreciated. But I don't think any of us really feel we're probably worthy of being of all the rest of them. It's really, I never expected this. So I'm proud and humble. Now, 2 out of the 15 I knew. Chet Sanick was, you taking picture, dear? Okay, Chet Sanick was the man when I came on board. And I didn't start playing these things until I was into my 30s because I had to feed those guys, and you see the size of those guys, I had to feed them a lot. So Chet was the big guy, and I was in the locker room when I first started, and I'm putting my shoes on. I think it was Upper Montclair. And this guy comes up to me, and he starts telling me, you're from South Jersey, you can't play with us guys, and he's giving me a tough time. I'm not going to mention his name, and at the end of the locker room is Sanick, and Sanick hollers at him, Freddie, you leave him alone. And that's all that, nobody ever said another word to me. So Sanick ran it. And the other one that I knew very well was Red. I just loved Red. And whenever I went to a tournament, as soon as I could, I got up to Red because he always had a story and he had that gravelly voice. And he was never judgmental. And he was a Damon Runyon character. He was beyond belief. Now, we go to play the Irish matches. Anybody here went over that Irish match? None of you guys? Oh yeah, Jay. Well anyway, before the Irish match, I'm never going to get into Mensa Society. I decided to put a 5-wood in my bag because they told me there was high rough there, and I said, well, I can't hit a 2 or 3 iron, 4 iron out of that, so let me put a 5-wood in the hybrid. So I do. We get over there, the wind is blowing 60 miles an hour every day, right, Jay? Every single day. And I've got this 5-wood, and I'm hitting the ball way up in the air, and Red comes up to me and he goes, "Housen, can't you knock the ball down?" I said, "I don't have my 2 and 3 or 4 iron." He said, "Where are they?" I said, "They're in my garage." And the look he gave me was that look that all of us fathers give our children when we say, "I cannot believe you're that stupid." Now, in June the 2nd, 1963, I married this beautiful woman in Lakewood, Marjorie Van Pevenge. And I hunted her down in church. They told me they had a pretty girl in church, and I found her. And so Margie and I got married, and we formed a team, and we have been the team ever since. Anything that I've ever accomplished in life has been revolved around her. She has either pushed me, been inside of me, or dragged me. And if it wasn't for Marjorie, I'd probably be living under a bridge someplace. Now, I once was asked a couple of years ago what I was the most proud of. I really didn't think any of this stuff, but I knew what the guy was asking. He was talking about tournaments. And what I'm the most proud of is Christopher, Patrick, and Paige. And what they've done with their lives, how they've raised their children, what wonderful people they are. My wife and I sit back and say, how lucky are we? And I was also very lucky to run into Wayne Warnes 37 years ago. We started this FCH thing where we've given a great deal of scholarships, FCA camps. We've had thousands of kids come through. We've given well over 300 or 400. Wayne and I jumped on this because he wanted to help junior golfers, and I did too, but I wanted to do it with a moral purpose. And so the FCA, we have Harry Flaherty here through the FCA, and we have a young man, Justin Moran, who we met 10 years ago. Justin has decided he wanted to make something of his life, and he is now enrolled in Harvard Business School. Okay? So Justin, I'm extremely proud of. And I know we've made an impact on people, because when I was playing the Senior Open, I was going from the 10th green to the 11th tee, and a young man came up to me and he said, "Mr. Housen, you don't know who I am." He said, "But I'm in law school now, and I attended your function that day." This is just one day. "I attended your function." He said, "I met the people in the FCA, and they changed my whole life." So with that, I'd like to wrap this up. And I'd like to say that there's a pretty good foursome. If you can get faith, family, friends, and God, you got a pretty good foursome there. Thank you.